I have been considering the notion of progress, as I sometimes do. The idea is generally regarded with a positive value, but I've found that progress is often seen as synonymous with instigating change, and that sometimes this is change for its own sake. I do not see that in a positive light. Giving up values that have proven effective simply because they are antiquated doesn't seem appropriate to me. Often, people like myself who resist change are seen as enemies of progress. But I have no trouble with the notion of making incremental changes to see if things get better or worse with them. I am only suspicious of fundamental transformations. For instance, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, to which I am still minimally attached, advocates praying for a mighty change of heart. In the 20 years since I converted, I have only done that occasionally and half-heartedly. Leaving my father's church, searching for religious guidance in a very syncretic way, and eventually becoming LDS has been a slow process, as has the gradual falling away through which I have been going for a long time since then. I have a solemn soul, so generally want stability and reflection to inform my spiritual path. Another instance where I resist change for its own sake is politics. I have more political views that would be described by Americans as conservative, as opposed to ones that are called progressive. In arguments between tradition and progress, I usually try to find the middle ground. But when that is not possible, I find myself more often moved by the former than the latter. This is because I can much more reliably judge what traditions have had positive results and to what degree than I can guess what changes can truly be considered progress. But I don't like the extremes and incivility they create in our political dialogue, so I try to remain open to those who will communicate their positions politely, regardless of how much I disagree with them. Again, I look for ways to make incremental progress that eliminates social problems without creating the new ones that change for its own sake often does. Another area where I resist change regards the redefinition of families. I want to encourage traditional families and see them protected. I think our society should do the same. The role models I've had for fidelity and chastity have been exemplary. Though I haven't always lived up to that standard, I truly desire to do so. Both sets of my grandparents stayed together in marriage their whole adult lives. So have my parents. So far, my wife and I have too, and I'd like to think we can be role models to our children in the same way. My own fidelity wavers at times, but because I had a son with a woman before I was married, I am readily reminded of the added difficulties that children raised outside of traditional marriage face. I wouldn't change the fact that I have a son with her for the world. Still, I can now see the importance of avoiding adultery much more than I could when he was conceived. Because of these things, I hope that my children are also able to find a committed marriage. Then they can avoid the heartache that I had of spending as much time as I did separated from my first son. Basically, it seems to me that some changes are and should be unwelcome and do not constitute progress. I don't object to things progressing, but I would like to have a voice in what constitutes it. I also believe that people should have the freedom to either adhere to their traditions or effect positive change as their consciences direct them. The balance between these two impulses is difficult to achieve for individuals and societies, but maintaining it is, in my opinion, the best way to make sure that all the good that humanity has found isn't destroyed in the quest to eliminate the darker side of our history.